Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're tackling a trap that literally almost every modern enterprise falls into at some point, and that's treating data problems like they're just technology problems. We're going to completely flip the script on how you look at your systems. We'll move way beyond that tool-first mindset and figure out what it actually takes to build a robust, explainable, and fully governed enterprise data architecture.
Okay, here's our roadmap. We're starting with number 1, the technology-first trap. Then we'll move into 2, the Datatism T7 model, and 3, 7 dimensions of data. After that, we'll hit 4, case study local DuckDB, explore 5, Mother Duck, scaling for enterprise, and finally, wrap up with 6, architecture beyond the tool. So let's jump right into section 1, the technology-first trap, moving beyond vendor selection. Organizations make this massive mistake all the time. They'll go out, pick a shiny new database or some cutting-edge cloud platform, and then they proudly call that their data architecture. But think about the company that drops $2 million on a huge data warehouse, only to realize half a year later that their teams still don't trust the numbers. The core philosophy from Datatism hits the nail on the head here. A technology vendor is not a data architecture. Simply selecting a tool doesn't define, and it definitely doesn't solve the underlying root of your data problems. If you don't know the exact dimension of your issue, buying a new platform is honestly just treating a symptom. And that brings us to section 2, the Datatism T7 model, a structured way to understand systems. The T7 model is essentially your diagnostic toolkit before you start prescribing solutions. It's built on 4 key principles. First up, it's a completely vendor-neutral approach. It doesn't force you into a specific cloud provider right out of the gate. Second, it uses structurally defined dimensions, which gives your entire team a shared language. Third, it's supported by evidence and patterns, meaning it's backed by real research and documented industry failures. And lastly, it's practically diagnostic for corrections. It systematically helps you pinpoint exactly where your systems are solid, where they're lacking, and where you need to take action. Let's break those dimensions down in section 3, 7 dimensions of data, the 7 blueprint. It's absolutely crucial to see how interconnected these 7 T's really are. Truth, time, transformation, traceability, trust, technology, and team. Because enterprise data failures almost never belong to just one dimension. Imagine you spot a massive reporting discrepancy on your dashboard. Your first thought? Oh, the technology is broken. But if you run it through the T7 model, you might find the tech is humming along perfectly. The actual failure could be in truth. Maybe there's no clear source of truth for those metrics. Or it could be traceability, like missing lineage in your pipeline. Or even team, where the ownership structure is a total mess. You really have to look at the whole shebang. Now, let's look at how this plays out when we transition from a theoretical framework to real-world software. There is a huge contrast between solo developer needs and enterprise team dynamics. A single developer needs localized power, right? Fast, local processing just for them. But an enterprise? An enterprise demands centralization, tight governance, and seamless sharing. In T7 terms, we're shifting our focus heavily onto those team and trust dimensions. Let's see this in action with section 4, case study, local DuckDB, the powerhouse on your laptop.
If you're familiar with DuckDB, you already know it is an absolute beast. It's incredibly fast for in-process analytical querying on local files like Parquet, CSV, or SQL. It completely nails the technology dimension for localized processing or local ETL. But here's the catch. It wasn't built out of the box for enterprise team dynamics. If you need multi-user concurrency, you're looking at careful locking or cobbling together external tools. So it inherently falls short on those T7 dimensions of team and trust simply because it lacks native centralization and multi-user governance.
Which perfectly sets up section 5, Mother Duck, scaling for enterprise, bringing cloud scale to DuckDB. Mother Duck steps in as a managed cloud platform layer specifically designed to bridge those enterprise gaps. And the real game changer here is its hybrid execution engine. What this actually means is that Mother Duck uniquely runs queries across both your local machine, leveraging that blazing fast DuckDB engine, and its own serverless cloud. It automatically and intelligently figures out where to route the query execution to minimize latency, drastically reduce network transfer, and ultimately cut costs.
The critical takeaway here is how beautifully this maps back to the T7 model. By offering shared databases, persistent cloud storage, and role-based access control, Mother Duck actively brings those trust and team dimensions to life. It takes this isolated local powerhouse and transforms it into a highly secure, centralized collaboration space for the entire company.
And it pulls all this off while keeping things incredibly simple with a serverless setup. You get virtually zero management overhead for small to medium analytical workloads. Let's be real, we've all felt the pain of having to spin up massive, overly complex enterprise warehouses like Snowflake, Redshift, or Databricks just to get a handful of people collaborating on a dataset. MotherDuck lets you bypass that entire headache.
When we break down this evolution side by side, the transformation is just crystal clear. Execution goes from being strictly local in process to a smart hybrid model. Concurrency shifts from a single writer to multi-tenant sharing. Storage moves off your local disk and into managed cloud persistence. Security gets a massive upgrade from basic OS-level permissions to fully fledged role-based access control. And the overall use case graduates from just local ETL and testing to fully shared enterprise analytics. It is literally the perfect example of taking a technology solution and layering in the necessary trust and team dimensions to create a true enterprise architecture.
And that leads us right into our final segment, Section 6, Architecture Beyond the Tool, coordinating all 7 dimensions. When we bring the macro T7 framework and our micro DuckDB case study back together, it becomes obvious that a true data architecture is the coordinated design of all 7 Ts. This kind of holistic thinking benefits literally everyone across the organization. Executives can accurately assess risks. Architects can evaluate the big picture design. Engineers can finally diagnose pipeline issues effectively. Governance teams can verify trust. And technology leaders can evaluate new tools within the actual context of a complete architecture. It takes everybody from making fragmented observations to building truly outcome-oriented data systems.
So I want to leave you with this final, critical question as we wrap up this explainer. When you look at your next big data initiative, are you simply evaluating a tool, or are you actually building an architecture? Challenge yourself to apply this T7 mindset to your modern data platform evaluations. Diagnose before you prescribe, and I guarantee you'll build systems that truly scale. Thanks so much for joining me on this deep dive.